In this video, we're going to take a look at writing care manager or billable notes and also updating our plan of care. The reason these two topics are combined into one video is because the two are very intertwined. As you may already know, when you go to write a billable care manager note, you're going to be documenting against your plan of care objectives and interventions. So they're very tethered together. And for that reason, we have to kind of do each one at a time. And what I mean by that is if you have a care manager note that you're writing and you haven't finalized it, you will not be able to do a new plan of care or update your plan of care. And similarly, vice versa there. If you are trying to update your plan of care, but you haven't finalized your last note, that is why you will not be able to do the plan. So if you go to do something like here, I'm on my test case for my new plan. If these two options were grayed out, it's more than likely because one of my notes is still in draft. So I have my first plan here. I'm going to go to my notes section. And again, I should have two options here to do my care manager note or my contact note. If this were grayed out, it's because my plan of care is still in draft. So that's your first troubleshooting tip for here. So I'm going to write my billable note. I don't have any issues because my plan is finalized. So I'm just going to click on the plus new note. Looks very similar to all the other notes we've been documenting. The note date is going to default to today. Your status, you'll finalize it when you're ready. Core service only has one option, which is that care coordination. The type of activity, these are the 5 core services, plus we have DSE in here for when you're documenting diligent search efforts against your DSE plan of care. You're going to be asked to select which core service you provided. Obviously, if it's DSE, it's going to be fairly straightforward. For the rest of them, though, I don't think you need to get too hung up on wondering, oh, is this fall under care coordination and health promotion, or is it comprehensive care management? It doesn't really matter all that much. Pick your best guess, and that's fine. You can also pick more than one. So if you did something that you think falls under more than one category of core service, you can select multiple. Contact date, and don't forget to backdate if you're not doing same day documentation. I'm going to backdate it a bit just so I can write another note later. Your duration is going to be in minutes. These duration breakdown in terms of time spent with your member, your documentation and travel time, you do not have to fill those out. You can if you want to. Your contact type is going to be the mode. The location is going to be where it took place. Home. And then whether or not contact was achieved. In this case, I'm going to say it was. Over here are your participants. Automatically, it marks off the member as being a participant. So most of your core services will probably involve your member. However, if it doesn't, you'll just uncheck this box. Examples of that would be, collaborating with a provider or an MCO or someone like that. Maybe you're having a case conference that the member is not a part of. Those would be situations in which you'd be providing a billable service, but you won't have the member present. I'm going to keep them checked for now. I don't need to necessarily identify anyone else. I don't need to put myself in here as another participant by default because I am writing the note. We know that I was present for this. Also, the content of your note should describe anyone else who was present, so it's not necessary to put it up here as well. The new field here is the target. These are required by New York State. This list is dictated by New York State, so we can't really change it. And you're just going to pick the primary target of this particular contact. The first one is coworker, care coordinator, senior care manager, or supervisor. Frankly, I can't imagine a situation in which we'd be billing for services where we're doing something strictly internal on our own team. So I don't think you'll be using this one much. Your external doctor and provider, those are any other providers outside of your agency who you're collaborating and coordinating with. Family member of your member, I think that's fairly self-explanatory. The member is obviously self-explanatory as well. The multidisciplinary team, we use this for case conferences. So for pulling together multiple providers or talking with multiple providers, you would want to select that. There is an option for other. So if you really don't know what to pick, you can select other. I'm going to go with member for the sake of today. Now when I scroll down, it looks a lot like my plan of care. I have my goal statement that I entered back when I did the initial plan. Goal statements are not going to change very often. They tend to be fairly static. They're not things that change with any real regularity. However, for the sake of demonstration today, I'm going to say maybe my member wanted to change his goal statement. He's decided something else is more important to him right now. So I can mark it as completed or discontinued. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to say discontinued for now. And it just puts in an end date for me, and that's it. I don't need to do anything else here, but I'm just telling the system that this is no longer the client's goal. When I go to do my next plan update, I will be prompted to add in his new goal statement. From here, I can see my interventions and objectives from the plan of care. I like to make these small because they're very enticing to write in, and you really should not be writing in these at all. If you need to update an intervention, you should do so through your plan. But I'm going to write my notes right in here in one of these intervention update boxes. I'm going to say that we worked on the first step here, which was to find some providers that are near him and that he can easily access. So what we did for that, I'm going to summarize in my note here. Maybe we also took the next step of starting to try and call some of them for intakes. So I'm going to find that intervention, which is right here, and I'm going to put what we did for that as well. I don't have to document in more than one of these intervention updates. As long as I have something written in one of them, I'll be able to save my note. I most certainly don't need to copy and paste this into multiple intervention boxes. That is just not necessary. Just fit the content under whichever category or intervention it fits under best. For this one, so we called and left messages to request an intake. So I'm not going to mark this as completed because we haven't really scheduled the intake yet. I want to keep this on my plan of care and on the radar as something that we're still working on. However, this intervention of researching the providers is really all set now. We've done that, we're good to go. So I have an option to mark this as completed. Similarly, if a member said, yeah, I don't want to work on that intervention or objective anymore, this is also where you could get them off the plan of care by deferring or discontinuing them. So I will mark this one as completed for now. I also have all my other interventions down here. These are my catch-alls. So if I did anything else, I could document those here. Again, as long as you've written an update in one of these right update boxes, you will be able to save the note. So I've done a few things here. We've closed out our goal statement, don't forget. So we've discontinued that. And we also closed out our one objective related or intervention, related to finding providers that are in a convenient location for the member. So I'm going to make sure this is finalized. Yes, and I'm going to save and close. And I have my first CareManager note written. Now we did close out a few things. So if I go to pull up a new note, right, I'm moving on and it's maybe the next month that I'm doing more with him or later this month. If I scroll down, I can see my goal is still discontinued. Again, I don't need to do anything with this. You never need to write anything in the goal comments section. Everything is going to be documented against your specific interventions. But I can see now that I only have 3 under this overall objective of obtaining that mental health provider. That's because I closed one out. So it no longer is here anymore. I will not be able to document against it. Instead of writing another note, I'm going to then show you how to update the plan of care, what that's going to kind of look like. So again, I already have my initial plan in here from when I first enrolled with the member. Now I have 2 options, my amendment and my annual. Again, my annual are my formal 12-month reviews. So I really won't be using my annual until July of 2024. That's the annual review that's done after your comp assessment and your SDOH screening. And it is the one that we have to have members sign off on that member acknowledgement form that they've participated in this process. Before I get to next July, there might be something I need to add to my plan of care. Something new has come up. I have a new need that warrants being added to that plan of care. It's not a one-off thing that I'm going to document under my care coordination activities. It's something I want to get on the plan of care because it's a big enough deal. So this, I'm going to do my amendment. I don't want to disrupt when my next plan is due, so this is not going to reset that clock. My next plan will still be due in July when I do my next assessment, but I want to get that new need on that plan of care. So I'm going to just do my quick amendment here. As you can see, I am again prompted to have a new goal statement, and I will be required to put something in. So maybe my member wants to find new housing. So again, I'm just going to add that in here. We love quotes. I can always expand on it in my own words as well. When I scroll down here, I can see what's outstanding still on my plan of care. So it's just those 3 interventions because again, I had marked one as complete already. If I need to add something to this particular objective, I can just click plus add here and I'll be able to add it in. In this case, he's identified that he needs new housing, so maybe that's what I'm going to do here. Under my social health, I'm going to add a new objective or intervention related to the member's need for new housing. And that is it. And once I save this plan of care, when I go to do my next note, I will see the new interventions that I just added to this plan, and I'll be able to document against those. So the key concept here really is if you want to get things off the plan of care, whether they be achieved and completed, or they're things that the member has decided they no longer want to work on or have changed their mind about, you're going to get them off through your care manager notes. Anytime you want to get anything added to the plan of care, you're going to do that through your plan, whether it be the amendment that you're doing between your formal 12-month reviews or in that annual plan of care.